Hi guys, it's Mark Zicree, Mr. Sci-Fi, also known as Mark Zicree of Space Command, and I've just gotten back from several days at the Nebula weekend, the Nebula Awards weekend put on by the Science Fiction Writers of America, which is the professional group of science fiction and fantasy novelists. And it was terrific. It was really fun. I got to catch up with a lot of old friends and my great teacher, Joe Haldeman, whom I named one of the characters in Space Command after, General Joe Haldeman, played by Bruce Boxleitner. And I also got to screen the first hour of Space Command to my peers, and it got a very, very good response, including, unbeknownst to me, there was an astronaut, a real astronaut in the audience, and we've been talking, and there's going to be a very interesting announcement soon, so watch this space. And meantime, I signed copies of the Twilight Zone Companion, and I caught up with William Gibson, who was getting a Lifetime Achievement Award. And William Gibson, many of you know, wrote Neuromancer and many other great works. And years ago, we were signing at a convention together, and he said, well, I'm interested in getting into film and TV. And this was before he was hired to write Alien 3, and his version, his script, never got made. And so as part of the 40th anniversary of the release of Alien, the original movie, they're doing an audio play of his script of Alien 3 and also a graphic novel adaptation. So I'm really looking forward to that. It'll be the closest we ever come to his version of the movie. But Lance Henriksen and Michael Biehn from Aliens are going to be in that script, so that radio drama. So it's going to be really fun. And meantime, I was, hanging out with Rock Neil Bannon, my friend Rock. We're creating a show together. So we were on a panel that I moderated called Bending the World to Your Will, novelists and showrunners together on a panel. So it was Joe Haldeman and Rock and me and a writer who won an Emmy for her web series, and that was very interesting to hear about. And I talked to people who are very successful in audio drama. There's one woman I met who she has 200,000 listeners a month, and so I'm going to be bringing her aboard to help me with the Space Command radio play that we've started working on. And so there's many things coming up, and it was really fun to go to the Nebula Awards last night. I was nominated for the Nebula and the Hugo not long ago for the Star Trek episode I did with George Takei, which you can watch in its entirety here on Mr. Sci-Fi, and I'm very proud of that. And also it was fun to see the younger generation of writers who I don't know, because the woman who won for Best Novel, I'm going to go out and read the novel. And this is how I met Connie Willis initially, because she won the Hugo for Doomsday Book, and we got to chatting, and I ended up reading it and really becoming a fan of her work. She's quite something. And there was an in memoriam section where they showed all the people who've lost in the last year or so, including Harlan Ellison and Gene Wolfe, who was another one of my teachers at Clarion and a great writer. And it's very sad, because it's interesting as you go from being one of the young Turks, and many of my friends like Rock Neil Bannon and Michael Cassett and Melinda Snodgrass, again, and Mel Gilden, who was also there, and Michael Reeves, of course, we came up and we were the young generation of writers, working on all the science fiction shows together. And now we're sort of the old guard, and the old guard that we grew up with, Ted Sturgeon, Richard Matheson, Harlan, Ray Bradbury, are all, exiting the field. And it's very sad, because it's the natural progression of life, of course, but it's sad because you'll never see another Ray Bradbury, you'll never see another Harlan Ellison, and I don't find the younger writers to have as much, I don't know what you would call it, panache, charisma. They're not as interesting, and this may be just that I don't know them, but there was such a quality of persona to Ray Bradbury and George Clayton Johnson and Harlan, of course, and on, and I'm so privileged that I got to know them when I was a teenager and beyond, and became their friend and learned from them. So, it's just fascinating. And then, of course, when I spent a few days ago, went over to the home of Diane O'Bannon, the widow of Dan O'Bannon, who wrote Alien and Total Recall and Return of the Living Dead and Dark Star. I'm looking to do some of his unmade projects, and again, we'll be announcing that soon. And but again, it's amazing. I'm so grateful to be in this wonderful world of science fiction. There's such a community and such a collegiate sense, and the older writers passing the torch to the younger writers and continuing to write themselves. Joe Haldeman, who's an old guy now, he wrote The Forever War, a great book, but he's still writing. He's writing a new novel, as is William Gibson, And you know, that's the great part about being a writer. As long as you can still put two thoughts together, you can write. And I'm very glad to be as active as I am at this point in my life. And it's really a thrill. I'm more ambitious now than I ever was. I'm more active now than I ever was. And I would never go back to a single moment previously in exchange for what I'm doing now. So thank you all for being part of this. It's really wonderful to have you all as part of this. I was mentoring writers at the convention as well. I was having mentoring sessions and talking to people and advising them, and that was very gratifying. So it continues. So we're launching the Kickstarter campaign on Monday, so you can pledge to that to help us shoot more Space Command, or you can buy a share in Space Command for $7,500. You can just call me at 323-363-1259 or email me at markzicree@gmail.com. You can subscribe to Mr. Sci-Fi. You can friend me on Facebook or become part of my Twitter feed, and eventually I'll do Instagram, you know, once I figure it out. And that's sort of it for now. Lots of stuff coming down the pike. We'll be posting a lot more very soon. And you know, it was just great to be able to spend 3 days hanging out with my literary friends and cousins and inspirations and so forth. So until next time, talk to you soon. Bye, guys.